This is the best model that we can find that will actually show you how to change your instruction in the classroom and using the technology. The purpose of giving you the article ahead of time was to a little bit to model a flipped classroom where you read the article, then you come in already having a background on the information instead of spending time going over the information. Did anybody have any questions or comments about the article that they'd read? So just very quickly, I want to go through the 4 steps of the SAMR model, and then we have an activity for you guys to do to model it. In the article, they model it using Starbucks coffee. So I didn't want to.
Well, where's our coffee?
Well, we're using cake.
We're
using cake. Well,
I
you
accept.
can't have it all.
Oh.
But the substitution model, that's the very lowest level, and basically that's using the computer, and the easiest thing for me to use right now is with writing. That's using the iPad or the computer to write on versus paper and pencil. So you're just substituting one thing for another. And then the other, the augmentation is that you're adding something to it to make it a little bit more spicier, or to give it a little bit more. For
clip art to your writing.
Yeah, clip art to your writing, or use the spell check or things like that to edit. You know, just a little bit more. Okay, and that's the enhancement part, and that's just enhancing what you're doing. And then we get to the transformation part, and this is where you really change how instruction goes. In the modification, the technology allows for a significant redesign of what you're doing in your classroom. Rather than writing a paper for the teacher to write, you might write a blog and produce a blog for people to use. Then the redefinition stage is using the technology to create new tasks that were previously inconceivable. Again, a very basic example is your classroom might connect with another classroom in another part of the country or the world and discuss whatever the writing topic was or something like that. What we would like for you to do in your 2 groups is we have different things. We have several different things here. We have Betty Crocker cake and we have Duncan Hines cake. Okay, we have icing. We have fun things, sprinkles. We have cupcakes, and we have shortcake with whipped cream. What we would like for each group to do is, using the ingredients on the table, is to show an example of substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Use your creative juices.
Wow, I got the hype. Okay, so the first thing I did was I just substituted the shortcake for the regular cake. They were side by side. Then I put icing on the cake, so that was my augmentation. And then I modified it. So my significant task redesign was, instead of a second layer of cake, making it 2-layer cake, I just put the strawberry shortcake on top and icinged it with Cool Whip. So I had a 2-layer cake that was cake, icing, shortcake, Cool Whip. And then my redefinition was I put strawberries and sprinkles on top. So it's a new creation, previously inconceivable. Strawberry shortcake cake with sprinkles. And I hope it's delicious.
I substituted the shortcake for a regular cake, and then I added icing to it, and then I put strawberries, and I did it upside down, and so I have a upside down, instead of a pineapple upside down cake, I have an strawberry upside down cake, and then I added the Cool Whip just because I thought it was yummy.
Yeah.
So think of a lesson that you do. All right. You know, how would you, you know, and I don't know if you brought one in mind with you. How would you do a substitution? What would you do what would be a substitution? You know, how could you tell us what the?
I was thinking, my kids, any research project, my kids are researching states, and substitution, instead of writing the report on paper, they would just type it on the computer. and then they can augment that by adding pictures to go along with their state, or using a computer to type things out to make a poster. And so maybe that's probably part of the modification, is they're turning it into something different. I think the redefinition is, I was like creating a web page for the assignment. If I research the state of Indiana, I can create a web page, but maybe or if it's a different state, I could, contact a school in a different state and learn about their state that way. Maybe I can take a virtual field trip, or, because you can go to those sites that has like things to do in Kentucky, and maybe I can check out some of those websites and do a ride on a roller coaster or whatever.
Could a modification be, they could create what a wiki is? The wiki spaces. That's the new, they've taken the place of the encyclopedias.
Okay.
And it's a public domain type of thing, is that
So would
everybody
like the Weebly's that I've been looking at, would that be the modification, or is that redefinition?
the what?
Weebly's, where the kids can create a web page with information, have like a toolbar with things to do,
I think-
famous people.
I don't know. What I think that might be redefinition, because that's a pretty high level thing to have to do. I don't know what.
It's previously inconceivable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that would be.
QR codes that
Yeah.
we saw on Friday as a redefinition. I don't know how to work that in.
What were you going to say, Lisa?
Oh, because you said bring a lesson, I was thinking about the book reports we just did. The kids could do a book report, an author study, or a series of books. And in the past, I would have had them like write a summary. So a substitution could have been they would have typed it and augmented it with pictures or something like that. Used all the spell check, and then for a modification, and some of them did this, they're not comfortable yet with the technology, so they wanted to do a poster. And so I let them do that. But they used technology for their posters. They took pictures with the iPads, printed them out, and put them on their posters. But then the kids that worked at the redefinition level created iMovies. And for me, that was previously inconceivable.
Well, and I think that's the. I don't think there's any true definition of what each one of those are, because when you look at this model this time next year, the things that you saw as inconceivable this year may fall down to the substitution or augmentation level, and you're going to have a whole new something that's
Well, it's
going
like,
to be.
I think PowerPoint's one of those things that,
Right.
for a lot of the stuff we do now, that's modification, but that won't be.
Yeah,
It
right.
Because
won't
it's
be.
PowerPoint's almost
Yeah.
out the window. I think in languages, there's a lot of neat things that you could do to go on that. Can you think of anything?
Well,
that-
I was thinking about what I'd been teaching before, more recently for second years who have a little bit more than just a basic vocabulary. A couple of the units we've just done were about the parts of the body and also the animals. And so some of this, I'm thinking about some of the things I've had them do before. How could I change it to put more technology in it? And one of the things I have done in the past is with the animals, they create an animal book, with simple sentences, like you might read in elementary, and they've done it with PowerPoint. It's just kind of hard, but I think it would be nicer to have it, where it's spoken. It could be shared with other, with others that are learning German. So I'm not real sure then exactly what to do, but I know
Well, I
That's
think,
something, you know, right now it's you know, they've made it, the last time I did it was a PowerPoint book,
right.
you know,
I think
because,
an iMovie would be good
Yeah.
for that.
I think what would be really neat is, since we don't have foreign language in the schools, you know, if the foreign language kids put together like books or an iMovie or down and come down and introduce that foreign language to like maybe the sixth graders or something like that before going into. I guess what I want you guys to think about with you, there's no limit to a possibility of something that you could do to get those students up. You know, and I think that's the hook that we need to get with these students now.